going on, guys? I hope that you're all having a wonderful day today. For those of you that are new to the channel, my name is Ty, and today in this video, we're going to be talking about The Penguin. The series is finally over, so it's time to give you guys my thoughts on the series, on the finale, all that make up this show. Now listen, going into this show, quite honestly, I was very excited because The Batman, it's one of my favorite movies of all time, and I feel like going into the crime underbelly of this franchise, of this world that we've built up with the first movie, was such a great idea, especially because there was just so much more to be explored, especially after the events of The Batman. It felt like Gotham was up for grabs. There was a power struggle. Who was going to be the new crime boss of Gotham now that there was all this flooding and now that all this stuff happened to this city? Well, that's what this show answered for us, and man, I just want to get right into my thoughts. Before I actually talk about the show, let me know down in the comments below what you guys thought about the show. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Anything is game. Just any thoughts that you guys have, I want to talk about it with you down in the comments. But listen, let's just get right into this because, oh my god, The Penguin absolutely blew me away. It is my favorite show that I've seen in a very, very, very long time. The writing is tight. The world building is just so vast and so wonderful. And oh my god, what an amazing set of characters that we were given in this show. But listen, I don't even know where to start, but let's just get right into it. I want to start talking about our main character here, Oz, because wow, he was introduced in The Penguin. He already stole every single scene that he was in, but in this show, it's made very clear that he is a villain with a good side to him. It feels like for most of the show, the Penguin is almost like this morally ambiguous character where he's doing good things sometimes, but he's also doing bad things. Every single good thing that he does two bad things. So sure, he's still leaning on the villain side, but it's very confusing because you're not sure whether or not to root for him, especially because he's the main character of the show. The show is called The Penguin. Usually in every single show that's ever been created, for the most part, you're rooting for the main character. But in this one, it plays a game with you. It toys with you because you're not sure whether or not you're supposed to root for him. Is he really the good guy of his own show, or is he not? And the way that he plays off of all the characters around him, the way that he's always manipulating and weaseling his way out of every single situation, it's incredible. I'll get to that a little bit down the line in the video when I talk about the plot, but Oz is just extremely slippery. He is elusive. He's impossible to catch. It's unbelievable. He's able to talk his way out of every single situation. You could have a gun right to his head in this show, and it feels like somehow, some way, even though this person is dead set on killing him, he somehow has some plan in place, or he manages to talk his way out of it. It's unbelievable. Playing off of him, of course, is going to be Sophia Falcone, and oh my god, is she an incredible character. See, like I already mentioned, sure, the Penguin is like the good guy in this show, right? But Sophia's another character that you do want to root for because she was wronged, and in a way, she was wronged by the Penguin. Sure, she does bad things too, and she's also on this track of taking 1 foot forward, doing one good thing, then taking 2 steps back by doing something that's really horrible or something along those lines. She is just such a complex character to where she hates her own family, sort of. She thinks that they betrayed her, and she's absolutely in the right. But her ways of trying to get revenge on them aren't necessarily the best. I can't say I blame her, but again, it's so morally ambiguous. It's like, is she right? Is she wrong? But at the end of the day, with both of our main characters here, they make it clear with some unbelievably crazy decisions, quite honestly, because there are just so many twists and turns in the show that they are villains. They are not good people. At the end of the day, they are not good, and they make that very clear, especially in the finale. I'm not going to be going into spoilers. You've got our side character here, Vic, right? He's another one that I wanted to touch on, of course. He is sort of pulled into the crime scene when Oz, catches him trying to steal his rims. Now he's his side partner. Oz basically takes him in as his kid in a way, right? He's telling Victor, I want to be the guy on the block that people look up to, that people respect, because all Oz wants is respect. He wants people to be proud of him, like his mother and stuff, which I'll get into in a second. But when it comes to Vic, he was, essentially also wronged by the Riddler. The Riddler, the incident with him killed his whole family. And because of that incident, he's pretty lost. It's like he's looking for some type of guidance. Even if it isn't the right guidance, he's very easily influenced by the Penguin for that reason. He has a stutter, so the Penguin kind of relates to him. He's a very nervous kid, but he gains confidence over the course of the show, and he's a really, really cool character that plays off of Oz. One thing that this show does so well, and I'm going to get into the plot in a second, I know I already said that, but still, is that it develops all these characters perfectly. There is one episode entirely dedicated, for the most part, just to Sophia's backgrounds. There's one episode entirely dedicated just to Vic's background, and then of course with the Penguin we're doing flashbacks to show his background, but the show is surrounded by, you know, him of course and his decisions, so we're seeing a lot of the Penguin naturally, so he's developed extremely well. The Penguin's mother, oh my god. I like how, don't get me wrong, she's a good character in here, but in a way they use her as a vessel just to explore the way that dementia and other mental issues, I guess you could say, or like disabilities, can really affect a family and they can tear them apart, and how much sadness and pain they could bring to the table. But that just feels like a little side plot on top of his mother and the way that Oz is obsessed with his mother. He always wants to try to prove to her that he's the big man, that everything he does is for her. He's going to put her in a penthouse. He's going to make her, you know, the most important woman in Gotham, because people look down on people like them, you know, like the Penguin and his mom. Everyone surrounding them, especially in this Crown Point area. But listen, I feel like I've talked about these characters enough. Oz is the most compulsive liar ever. He'll do anything that he can to get out of any situation, no matter what the cost is, even if it's at the cost of people that you think at least he cares about. He is ruthless, he is cutthroat. And I like the way that by the end of this show, because good God, by that last scene, I was ready to run through a brick wall. And I'm talking about the last scene of the whole show. They make it very clear that even though throughout this whole show, it's been Oz does one good thing, two bad things, it's kind of like, is he good, is he bad? You're kind of rooting for him, you're kind of not rooting for him. By the end of the show, they make it very clear. He is a bad guy, and you better be ready for the Batman suit. That's what I love about it. Going into the plot here, I love the way that they were able to explore this whole crime underground within Gotham, okay? The plot line here is just so complex because Oz is basically playing the Falcones and the Maronis. He's playing a double agent sort of role. He's on both of their sides, but he's also against both of them. And the way that he pins them against both of each other throughout the entire series is so clever, and don't get me wrong, the character is clever, but of course even behind the scenes, the writing is just so unbelievably smart. It's incredible to watch whenever it plays out on screen. It's amazing, and I loved it because, let me tell you, man, a lot of the dialogue in here, it just feels like it's not wasted. Every single word that comes out of every single character's mouth is so important, and I absolutely love that about this show. Going back onto the Maronis and the Falcone thing, I like how both of them are basically in this rough situation where, again, they're trying to grab for power. Oz doesn't really have a family. Technically, he's attached to the Falcones, but he's trying to start his own thing. He wants to be the one at the top. He doesn't care about either of these families. Even though he was with the Falcones for so long, he does not care. He wants it. He wants to be at the top, and he wants to prove to his mom that he's going to be at the top. He wants to prove to his mom that, you know, he wants to put her in a penthouse. He wants to make her the most important lady in Gotham, like I already said earlier in this video. He wants to do it for himself. He doesn't care about anybody else, and that's why he's willing to pin the family that, you know, he's been with for so long up for blame, essentially. He's able to rat them out. Same with the other family, with the Maronis. Whenever he's trying to make deals with people, it never goes through. He's not trustworthy. It doesn't matter. That's what makes Oz so interesting. You never know his next move. Not in a confusing way, okay? Because sometimes I could say this, you know, in the wrong capacity or a derogatory way, but it feels like this show is always one step ahead of me in the best way possible because I just never knew what was coming. The way that this show, by the way, also talking about the plot, and I've mentioned this earlier with going over, you know, backstories, uses flashbacks so effectively. None of it's wasted. It doesn't feel like we're dragging our feet in the mud. Oh, we're going through some boring flashback that doesn't matter. No, it's giving us very relevant and very important information that helps us understand our characters' motivations. Just so well done. The acting in this show is literally top tier. I cannot wait to see some of these characters in the Batman Part 2. I don't want to look too far ahead because we're still 2 years away, but oh my god, it's just phenomenal. Colin Farrell is so unrecognizable in this, it's unreal. And also, Sophia Falcone, who's played by, and I might be butchering her name, I might be wrong, Kristen Milioti, I believe is her name. She was unbelievable. She was arguably better than the Penguin, or at least they were neck and neck, which is very impressive considering how good Colin Farrell already is. The makeup is incredible. One element that I also want to mention that honestly does add to the show, and normally, I guess you could say they could work around it, this show is rated R. This show is rated R. They're saying the F word, there's gore. The Batman is PG-13. It's not rated R. They're able to do so much more and just elevate the stakes, and you feel so much more emotion because this is rated R. Again, I'm not saying that it needed to be, but it honestly helps the show. I think it does benefit the show because it feels so much more raw and authentic. It's not like these crime mobsters are going to be like, oh gosh, dang it, my friend just got killed. No, they're going to be cursing out of their minds like crazy, basically, because so-and-so was just killed. There's going to be gore when someone gets shot in the head or something like that. This is real. They're trying to play this as a real crime underworld of Gotham. Like, I really enjoy that aspect of it. The Batman Part 2, I don't think it needs to be rated R. No, that's not what I'm saying. But I like that they were able to have a bit more creative freedom and that HBO actually let them do that. The world building in this show was just so great. I feel like it really expanded Gotham because we're not just seeing like the main city of Gotham, we're also being introduced to Crown Point, which is almost like the slums or whatever you want to call it of Gotham, where a lot of people are struggling and a lot of the congressmen, all the people, the mayor, this and that, they're not really giving any aid to these people. There's like no electricity there after the floods. They're not really getting jobs. There's no food there. But everyone in the main city of Gotham, where all the rich people are, they're all doing okay because they basically just put a blind eye to Crown Point. And I like the idea that sometimes Oz gets his hero moments, like when in the middle of the show, he gets power restored to Crown Point, even if it's by, evil means when he threatens a congressman. I like that because it shows that there was a glimmer of hope in Oz. There was a chance for him to do something good and to be a good character. But by the end of the show, we realize he is just a lost cause. There is no going back with him. It's just such a shame. It really is. The cinematography, listen, it might not be perfectly on the level of The Batman, but it's basically trying to compete with it. It's really good for a show. It's just so clear to me that HBO is the premium streaming show service. Undeniably. Now, I know that they haven't always been like streaming. That's not what I'm saying. HBO obviously is a premium TV network, but they've been doing this for so long now, whether it's The Sopranos, whether it's Game of Thrones, this, that. They've been doing this for so long. They've proven time and time again that they can make great shows. If you want your TV show to be great, you go to HBO, and that's what the DCU is going to be doing. Well, actually, yeah, this is also DC. I almost forgot, because it's like a crime show. That's what the DCU is going to be doing with Lanterns. That's what they're going to be doing with their other shows, and that's what the Penguin ended up doing. HBO cooked with the show, and obviously it's the creatives, but I'm just saying, giving the creatives more creative control clearly shows in the result of your show. Now listen, I feel like I need to bring up the elephant in the room because I could talk about this show for like 10 hours, all the, character traits of all these characters, all the little decisions that they make that are just so unbelievably interesting, but I want to bring up the elephant, that being, where's Batman? A lot of people have talked about the fact that, the Batman obviously is not in the show. Robert Pattinson is in the show. Bruce Wayne is in the show. We get some cameos from some people in the police force, the mayor, Bella, but we don't get to see Batman. Where is he? There's all this crazy stuff going on. There's murders, there's explosions, this, that. I want to just make one thing clear before I talk about that. This show did not need Batman, and on top of that, I forgot that the show I was watching was even within the Batman universe, which is a good thing, because I wasn't thinking, oh, this show would have been so much better if Batman was in it. Wait, where's Batman? No, there were like weeks on end where I literally forgot this was even set in the Matt Reeves Batman universe, because it was just such a compelling story on its own within the city of Gotham that, again, I forgot related to Batman. Towards the end, though, where things do start to get pretty crazy, I understand that people are saying, oh, but where's Batman? Wouldn't he show up? Guys, listen to me. This is the issue. We don't know where Batman is. It's as simple as that. There's no other explanation. We, as the viewers, don't know where Batman is. At the end of the show, I don't mean to give spoilers, but we got a little tease of Batman, but we don't know what Batman's been up to. We don't. That's the reality. We do not know what Batman's been up to. Once Part 2 comes out, we will know. There's a good chance, and listen, I'm not a script writer, okay? But in the beginning of the Batman Part 2, maybe Gordon comes up to Batman and he's like, hey, where the hell have you been? There's been all this crazy stuff going on with gangsters. And Batman says, oh, you think that all these gangsters are the only important thing going on in the city? I've been busy dealing with a bunch of other stuff. There's so much crime going on. You give it one sentence like that, and your question has been answered. Where's Batman? There's your answer. We don't need an answer right now, and we're not going to get one, unfortunately, for 2 years. But I think it's very unfair to critique the show because, oh, wouldn't Batman show up if, there was a little explosion? Wouldn't Batman? We don't know what's going on in the rest of the city because there was just a domestic terrorist attack that flooded the entire city. I'm sure he is very, very busy. We don't know what he's been up to. We will know what he's been up to once the second movie comes out, but it's not out yet. Again, this whole thing about where has Batman been can be resolved with like 3 lines of dialogue in the second movie towards the beginning. But we don't need that answer right now. You just have to believe that he's busy. Is that unfair to say that he's just busy? This show didn't need Batman. I am happy that Batman was not in this show, and this show proves that Oz is one of the most compelling villains currently in Hollywood, if I'm going to be realistic, and I absolutely loved this show. What's my final rating of the show? I am going to give The Penguin a 9 out of 10. I think that it is a phenomenal show. You should go watch it right now. There really isn't much holding it back for me. I think that the only thing holding this show realistically back from a 10 out of 10 for me is that I maybe need to just give it like a rewatch, or I need to just watch it again before the Batman Part 2 comes out. But either way, 9 out of 10, phenomenal season of television, unbelievably good. But guys, that's going to just about do it for this review. Thank you so much for watching this video. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next video.